Hi guys, it's Frizzy Izzy here today. Yeah, I am lost for words at the state of my hair. I've literally had to scoop it back. The roots are horrendous, so this is the only way I can somewhat cover my root. I would blame the root situation on lockdown. Sadly, I do actually dye my hair myself, so I've not got much of an excuse on that one. Apart from lack of motivation, which is caused by lockdown. So I guess lockdown is somewhat to blame for the situation. What can I say? You know what it's like with hair and lockdown. I'm gonna use that excuse. Lockdown is the reason for my hair, so there you are. So for today's video, I thought I'd dive back into the sort of mystery genre I like to do a lot of on my channel, and we're gonna be talking about one of my favourite topics ever to like dive into and investigate, which is children remembering past lives. Oh, that is the dishwasher deciding to come to life. I didn't even realise that was on. Let me just go and fix that. So I have been fascinated about this subject ever since school, I'm gonna say. Like, we even did about it in RE. Like, RE was my favourite subject at school because I just used to love like philosophy and everything like that. And I remember we did about like kids that claim to have remembered past lives, and there was a book, and I tried to remember which book it was that we like looked at, and well, there was like two children's psychologists that have written books. There was Tucker and Ian Stevenson, who investigated about 2,500 cases of children that claimed to have like been reincarnated basically, and they found about 70% of those showed good evidence of it. So that's a lot of cases of children that claim that they have taken their experiences from a past life into their present life. And this seems to be the case for children a lot, that they remember past lives. So loads of people say it's because they've not got much experience from their present life. They're very close to their older life they had, and they just sort of remember it easier. And the more experience they have in their own life, the more they forget their past life, and that's why a lot of adults don't remember their past lives. It tends to be children. So this has always been a topic I've been fascinated by. I'll get onto my own opinions about whether or not I think it's true at the end of the video. But whether you believe in this sort of stuff or not, you can't help but admit it is fascinating. And I decided in this video I'm going to talk about a very specific case, because I've never seen this happen where a child claims to have been a famous person before. And then I stumbled across the story of little 4-year-old Billy from Australia, who claims that in a past life he was none other than the late Princess Diana. So the first thing I want to mention about the little background to this story is that Billy's family claim they never talk about Princess Diana in their own home, so they have no idea where he would get this information from. It's not something that Billy would know about from the parents. It's not something he's grown up around, like he didn't know facts about Princess Diana or anything like that. So the parents are quite stumped about where his knowledge comes from about Princess Diana. So this whole story started when Billy was only 2 years old, which seems to be very consistent with kids that remember past lives. So the story of Billy remembering his past life, if you like, started when Billy's mum, Lisa, who is actually English, she received a novelty card of Princess Diana. It said Princess Diana on the front and everything like that, and then Billy points to it and goes, "Look, mummy, that's me as a princess." And you know, kids say the darndest things, so they sort of brushed it off and were like, okay. Until he started saying more and more stuff about Princess Diana, where they were like, hang on a minute, this seems to be a consistent theme here. Billy started saying stranger and stranger things, like, I have 2 sons. And then he started referring to Prince William and Prince Harry as his boys, and he started to claim, they're my sons, which is a very, very bizarre thing for a 2 to 4 year old to start saying, is, you know, like, I have sons, especially if he didn't know anything about the royal family, supposedly. So Billy's parents were convinced he was making this up to start off with, and that he was just chatting, you know, a random story like kids do. And they were convinced of this when he started talking about his brother, like Diana's brother, John. And they were like, okay, so he's clearly making stuff up. Diana didn't have a brother John, but it turns out that Princess Diana did actually have a brother called John. He was an older brother of Diana's that died when he was very, very young. The story continued and continued, you know, he just was not dropping this narrative that he was Princess Diana and that he had all of Princess Diana's memories. So one day, a Scottish friend of theirs came to visit, and Billy was so excited. He was going on about how much he loved this kilted wonderland that was Scotland. Bearing in mind, Billy had never been to Scotland before. So he was so excited speaking about Scotland to this Scottish friend of theirs and going on about unicorns, which is actually the national animal of Scotland. And he started saying about how much he loved his time and his Christmases in Scotland. And he started to describe Balmoral Castle, which is the castle that Princess Diana used to spend Christmases in and spent a lot of time there.
How do you like Balmoral as a place?
He started to say about like the unicorns that were on the wall and describing this castle in great detail. So absolutely mind blown that he was going on about Scotland in so much detail. They decided to test this a bit further and they showed Billy pictures of loads and loads of different castles. And were like, go on Billy, pick Balmoral Castle, go on, where is it? And surprisingly, well, probably not surprisingly, you know where the story's going, he picked out the right castle. And bearing in mind this was a kid that's never been to Scotland, he supposedly didn't know anything about Princess Diana. How did he pick the right castle? It was like he knew it. It was like he remembered spending time in this castle and he was like, obviously it's that one. And yeah, Lisa heard him describe stories about how he used to be a princess, but then one day the sirens came and he wasn't a princess anymore. So if anyone knows anything about Princess Diana, this is basically a bit eerie because she did actually pass away in a car crash. Well, she passed away in the ambulance following a car crash, hence the sirens. What do you guys think? So I'm just gonna move on to like my own thoughts and like what people think about like the evidence towards this. Is it true? Is it not? Because these sorts of stories fascinate me because I personally do believe in reincarnation. I think that's what happens to us when we die. Feel free to disagree. I'm not saying that is the ultimate truth. I'm not saying I'm right there, but for me that just makes the most sense. But the thing about these stories is, I don't know, I don't think like it's like you take your memories from a past life and into the next one, but then again, I have never experienced something like this firsthand, so I wouldn't know. Like, it, to me, just, even though it's follows what I sort of believe, it also doesn't quite add up to what I believe in my head. So like these stories sort of sit with me a bit like, what is going on here? Because like even the time span sort of doesn't add up. Like there was 18 years between the death of Princess Diana and the birth of Billy. Like what was the soul doing in the meantime? You know, why was there 18 years in between? Was Billy anyone else in the meantime? I personally think like all souls are like interlinked, which might be why we're all connected, but then again, why does some people feel reincarnated and then others don't? Why? How come only some people get these experiences if it's happening to everyone? It just, to me, just somehow doesn't add up. I don't really understand what's happening here, but maybe it's way beyond something that little Izzy here can understand. It's just so fascinating. So I found a little bit of an explanation actually when I was reading into this a bit further. Let me know what you guys think. Could this add up? Does it? So an Australian psychic, Peter Williams, agreed that he thinks Billy could be the reincarnated Princess Diana. And he explains that he thinks Princess Diana is coming out through the soul of Billy now because William and Harry are both having children and that it's Princess Diana that might want to reconnect with her grandchildren. But again, like, why pick someone that is the other side of the world to where his grandchildren are? But Williams also claims that children are picked for this because they're more in touch with their spirituality, they're less like had less experience with the world so far and are more open-minded about things, so therefore can access memories from a previous life better. But he also warned that people should almost stop questioning Billy about this because the more questions are asked, like the more it influences his perception of reality, and especially leading questions like children can very, very easily be led with an open question. Do you remember when Princess Diana did this or something like that? So he sort of has been like, guys, let's back off from Billy a little bit. Another reason why people are quite skeptical that this might not be as it seems, it might be a publicity stunt, is because Billy is actually the son of an Australian TV presenter, David Campbell. And people have started to question whether or not this might be a publicity stunt. But people have come back to that as well and been like, well, David Campbell, what's he got to win for making up this insane story? People seem to trust him and be like, why would he damage his reputation by coming out with something that is so bizarre? Like, why would he admit to something that's so strange if it wasn't true and if he didn't genuinely believe it himself? And this happens to thousands and thousands of kids all around the world. Like I said earlier, it's happened to about 2,500 kids at least. And if it can happen to everyday people, why couldn't it happen to a TV celebrity? You know, it's a hard one, because obviously people in the public eye do say and do all sorts of things to, you know, amp up the publicity. It's very, very likely. However, like, I don't know David Campbell myself. I haven't grown up watching him, but I'm trying to relate it back to like a TV presenter here, and I'm trying to think, like, if like Anton Deck started coming out saying my son is the reincarnation of Queen Victoria, like, what the public over here would think. Like, I'm trying to picture that. Like, generally, like, people would be like, why are you saying that? So yeah, it's a very, very bizarre story, all in all. It's such a fascinating story though, and I am just obsessed with these sorts of stories, because it's one of those, annoyingly, we are never gonna really find out the answer. We can only follow our beliefs. So maybe all our souls are somehow all interlinked, and we do just feel connections to people that were here before us. I think that's the most likely scenario, is that for whatever reason we're just drawn to different people. Whether or not it's a reincarnation or not of a like literal soul to soul, I don't know. Maybe Billy had seen something that his parents weren't aware of that he's seen, and was just particularly drawn to like Princess Diana. And you know what kids are like, they do seem to fixate on certain people and become obsessed with them. But how did he come across all this information that like a lot of the general public didn't even know, and how did he remember such vivid details about Scotland? I don't know. What a strange set of circumstances, and I'm very, very intrigued to know what you guys think about this, because I just can't get enough of this sort of stuff. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm very, very interested to know. And yeah, let me know in the comments below if you know any similar stories. I know quite a few, so if we want to have a little gossip in the comments, please let me know, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. So yeah, that has been today's video. If you like this sort of thing, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and that little subscribe down below, because I make videos about this sort of thing a lot. Loads of different types of mystery videos. That's my sort of hobby. I really need to get like a life. And the more I think about it, people are like, what are you actually doing with your life, is it? And I'm like, I really don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.